Next we're going to talk about Chiburi and Noto. Chiburi means the removing of the blood from the blade. Noto is returning the sword to the saya. As I'm sure you've noticed, my crassness and sarcasm tends to accelerate as I go through discussions here. Chiburi is one of those things that I will not hesitate to tell somebody that they're making an idiot of themselves. One of the things that people need to understand is that you will not shake the blood off of this sword. All right. This concept is even sort of immortalized in old samurai movies. You'll see them walking down the street and they have this little piece of paper sticking out. Right? That's because when they're done doing whatever it is they're doing, they take the paper out and they wipe the blood off of the blade. Blood in of itself is a very conductive electrolyte. It has a lot of sodium in it, and the corrosion process is actually an electrical process, and that the blood, because it on a small scale, it conducts electricity so well that it can really deteriorate a sword really quickly. So there's always a need to get the blood off of the blade. So you want to wipe it off of there if you've done practice cutting. If you are in fact running down the streets of Tokyo with your ninja clan cutting up people, you do want to get the blood off of your sword as quickly as possible. Now, the chiburi in the kata, when we do this while practicing EI, again, fingerprints. Different schools do it different ways. But in a nutshell, you have a basic chiburi. You've got what's called a o chiburi, which is when O means big. You're making a larger motion out of the chiburi. Whether your feet move in and out of your chiburi, whether you stay still, boom, whether you step back into it, whether you are in the seated position and you stand to do your chiburi, it's all going to be stylistic nuances that, depending on the school you're in, you'll do it a certain way. But you don't necessarily want to collect chiburi. You don't want to have a whole bunch of different ways to do your chiburi, because you're going to muddy it all up, and you're not going to be consistent with the methodology of your particular style, right? So, in a nutshell, this is symbolically taking the blood off of the blade. If I was actually in feudal Japan and I had just cut somebody or something, I might not do the chiburi. The chiburi is a symbol of removing the blood off of the blade before you put the sword back in your saya. All right. Don't forget the philosophy and the influence of Zen in the martial arts, in particular EI. There's a lot implied by leaving blood on a sword, by putting the sword away with somebody else's blood on it, and things like that. So there's a lot of symbolism woven into each and every sword technique. So here, sword's out. I finish doing whatever it is I'm going to do. I do my chiburi, however it is. One thing that you want to watch for, just like with cutting, you don't want to overswing. Very rarely, I can't think of any time I've seen an authentic practitioner of EI do their chiburi out here. Okay? Again, the person is in front of you. So your sword needs to be in front of you. Okay, here. The sword's in front. Right? It's not this. Okay? And then go for your Noto to put the sword away. Or, and then the chiburi's somewhere back here, and then I go for my Noto here. It's all silly. Okay? So you're here, chiburi.